I was in a standard-issue hospital gown, perched on the edge of a bed with crisp, sterile sheets, locked in a silent staring contest with the impossibly handsome man before me. His hair was the color of jet, his features sharply defined, his eyes holding a profound depth. Even in a simple charcoal gray suit that should have been unremarkable, he emanated an air of disciplined elegance. The problem was, he was an alpha just like me. He remained silent, so I did the same, a rebellious part of me wanting to unleash my own pheromones to put him in his place. Finally, he broke the tense quiet. He asked, his voice low and edged with ice, if I was enjoying this little game of luring him here. His tone was far from friendly, and the use of my full name, Ethan Shaw, felt like an accusation. I met his gaze with a coldness of my own and questioned who he was, flatly stating that I had no memory of him. The man flinched, a flicker of surprise crossing his face before his long, sharp brows drew together in a frown. He demanded to know what new trick I was playing. Just then, the beta assistant, Ryan, who had been hovering nervously by the door, spoke up in a timid voice. He explained to the Mr. Vance that the doctor said Mr. Shaw had suffered a head injury and lost some of his memories. This alpha, Vance, shot a contemptuous glance in my direction, a bitter smile touching his lips. He mused aloud, dripping with sarcasm, on the convenient nature of my amnesia, noting how it seemed I had only forgotten him. Ryan awkwardly confirmed that this appeared to be the case. I seized the opportunity, turning to my assistant. I asked Ryan to remind me of the gentleman's name. Ryan formally introduced him as Mr. Caleb Vance. I turned back to the man. Caleb Vance. I asked him what he wanted from me. Caleb seemed to be fighting to control his temper as he asked if it wasn't I who had Ryan notify him, claiming I'd fallen down the stairs and needed him to come take care of me. A sudden, absurd thought dawned on me. I asked if he was my nurse, but that couldn't be right. No caregiver looked like that. Caleb's voice was laced with G-funk as he remarked on my selective memory. He reminded me of a contract we signed 4 years ago, a sponsorship agreement, and then asked what exactly that made him to me. I inhaled sharply. Sponsorship? I let my eyes travel up and down his frame. Caleb Vance was built like me. No, to be objective, he was taller, broader. My preference had always been for the soft, sweet-smelling omegas. I wondered when my tastes had taken such a drastic turn. I covered my face with my hands, overwhelmed. I told him I needed a moment, then asked for clarification. I was the one who had initiated this arrangement with him? Caleb's laugh was cold. He corrected me, stating that, more accurately, he had been passively sponsored by me. I dropped my hands. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. But as I met Caleb's unyielding gaze, I knew he wasn't joking. I swallowed hard, my voice barely a whisper as I asked a delicate question about the dynamics of our arrangement. I prayed he wouldn't say I was the submissive one. I was a top-tier alpha through and through. Caleb ignored the unspoken question, his expression shifting to one of weariness. He stated that since I had forgotten everything, it was best to simply end their relationship. The suggestion was abrupt, but I felt a wave of relief. I shrugged my shoulders and told him to do as he pleased. I then turned to Ryan, instructing him to review the contract for any potential financial entanglements or legal issues. Caleb cut in before Ryan could answer. He informed me that I had paid him a lump sum of $10 million, which he had recently returned in full with interest. He assured me there would be no complications. That was a relief. I remarked that keeping things clean between friends, or whatever they were, was for the best. A clean break was always preferable. Caleb didn't wait for me to finish, rising abruptly to his feet. He announced his departure and wished me a good rest. He seemed displeased. I waved a cheerful goodbye, telling him to take care and asking Ryan to see him out. Ryan started to follow, but Caleb stopped him with a curt dismissal, telling him to stay and watch over me. Before walking out the door, Caleb paused and cast one last look over his shoulder. I asked if there was something else. He delivered his parting shot with quiet intensity, reminding me that I was the one who agreed to end things and warned me not to regret it. With that, he was gone. I turned to Ryan, bewildered. I asked if he was certain that man was someone I sponsored, commenting on his incredible arrogance. I questioned if I had some hidden masochistic streak. Ryan cautiously suggested that perhaps I should try to win Mr. Vance back, that I would regret it once my memory returned. I stared at him in disbelief. I, who was famous for moving through a sea of admirers without a single attachment, would regret losing one glorified pet project. The idea was laughable. Ryan wisely said no more. I rubbed the back of my head, which still ached dully. I had taken a tumble down a staircase at my own hotel that afternoon. The next thing I knew, I was waking up here with a doctor explaining I had a mild concussion and partial amnesia. An increasing sense of unease settled over me. I impatiently urged Ryan to ask the doctor when I could be discharged. Ryan returned to report that the doctor recommended an overnight observation, but I could leave if I signed a waiver. I didn't hesitate. I declared that it was a minor issue and there was nothing to observe. So Ryan handled the paperwork. After changing back into my own suit, I pulled out my phone, scrolling through it as Ryan led me to the hospital's parking garage. My eyes landed on a private message I'd sent 3 hours earlier to a contact saved as Bunny. The last thing I saw was a picture of Caleb Vance. A shiver went down my spine. How could I have given him such an embarrassing nickname? The man was built like a linebacker, not a bunny. I opened the message thread. The history was a cringe-worthy chronicle of my one-sided affection. Did you go see Leo Sterling? Answer my calls. What are you doing? You just wait, Caleb Vance. You're going to regret this. Leo Sterling, my cousin. A talented and beautiful Omega who went to study abroad after high school. What was Caleb's connection to him? Caleb hadn't replied to any of my recent messages. As I scrolled up, a clear pattern emerged. I had been constantly fawning over him, showering him with concern, buying him designer clothes, and sending him money on every holiday. Caleb's responses were brief and dismissive, often just a single word for every 10 of my messages. His indifference was palpable. I swore under my breath, disgusted with myself. Had he cast some sort of spell on me? By then, I was in the back of my car, with Ryan driving away from the hospital. I leaned forward and demanded that Ryan tell me the truth. Did this Vance guy have some kind of dirt on me? Ryan's answer was evasive, a mumbled denial and a claim of ignorance. I pressed him, asking why else I would throw $10 million at a man I wasn't even attracted to. Ryan gently suggested I look at the photos and videos on my phone, saying they might jog my memory. Following his advice, I opened my photo gallery. And there they were. Several albums, all dedicated to Caleb, organized by age and titled Bunny at X. The earliest one was Bunny at 17. I had known him since he was a teenager. With a sense of trepidation, I opened it. The album was filled with pictures of a strikingly pretty young man. For a moment, I was confused. This couldn't be Caleb. I zoomed in on a photo and realization hit me. It was him, but he looked so different. At 17, Caleb Vance had been fair-skinned and delicate, with large, round, expressive eyes. When he smiled, he revealed a pair of small, charmingly crooked front teeth. Now the nickname Bunny made a painful amount of sense. This version of Caleb was exactly my type. I swiped quickly through the photos. Most were candid shots of him, but a few included Leo Sterling. They were wearing matching school uniforms. They were classmates. I moved on to the albums for age 18 and 19. After seeing them, all I could wonder was what on earth had happened to him. The transformation was dramatic. At 18, the smiles vanished from his face. By 19, his entire demeanor had hardened, and his physique began to bulk up, as if he'd been put on an aggressive growth formula. In just a few years, he'd morphed from an adorable bunny into a cold, imposing god. I did the math. The contract was signed 4 years ago when he was 18. Back then, he was still the beautiful young man I found so appealing. But shortly after, he must have presented as an alpha, growing taller and stronger than me. Felt like a bait and switch. This wasn't the product I'd signed up for. Ryan flinched at my sudden outburst. I leaned over the seat, demanding to know why I would continue to keep him around after he had changed so drastically. Ryan explained hesitantly that he wasn't privy to our private affairs. All he knew was that I seemed to truly love Caleb. For him, I had quit smoking and drinking, catered to his every whim, and even paid off his family's massive debts. Debts? Ryan elaborated. When Caleb was 18, his family went bankrupt. His father was imprisoned, his mother fell gravely ill, and his younger brother was about to drop out of school. My $10 million had saved them. An imprisoned father, a sick mother, a younger brother to support, and a mountain of debt. It was the perfect tragic hero backstory. It all clicked into place. I had taken advantage of his desperation, using money to force him into an arrangement. And then I'd somehow become the groveling one. The shame was immense. I muttered curses, my hand instinctively reaching for a cigarette before I remembered Ryan's words. I had given it up for Caleb. I fumed, wondering when I had ever compromised so much for another person. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I barked an order at Ryan to take me to the Vanguard Lounge. Vanguard was a high-end club owned by a friend, filled with omegas of every type. To think I had given up this entire forest for one crooked tree was an act of sheer insanity. I thanked whatever cosmic force had knocked the love sickness out of my head. Ryan hesitated, reminding me that I had promised Caleb I wouldn't go there anymore. I kicked the back of his seat and asked him who his boss was. Ryan fell silent. Half an hour later, I was in a plush VIP suite I hadn't seen in years, surrounded by 6 scantily clad omegas. I had one on each arm, letting them feed me drinks and fruit. The others, unable to get closer, danced seductively to the music in front of me. I raised my glass and cheered them on. An omega wearing a pair of fluffy rabbit ears snuggled into my side. I wrapped an arm around him, playfully tugging on an ear. He looked up at me, his eyes soft, and whispered my name, asking how he measured up. I tilted his chin up, flirting back, telling him he was adorable, a true little bunny. This was the kind of bunny I liked. Caleb was built like a bull. I had no idea what I ever saw in him. As if summoned by the thought, the suite door was violently kicked open. Caleb Vance stood there, his face a mask of cold fury, and strode into the room. The club manager trailed behind him, pleading for him not to cause a scene. Caleb ignored him, his eyes locking onto me and the omega in my arms. A flash of murderous intent crossed his face. He grabbed the omega by the collar and tossed him aside with brutal efficiency. The boy cried out as he hit the floor, and the other omegas scattered like frightened birds. Before I could get a word out, the world blurred. Caleb had hoisted me over his shoulder. I struggled, yelling at him to put me down, but no one dared to intervene. He carried me through the club to the parking garage, where his driver held a car door open. I was unceremoniously dumped into the back seat. Before I could right myself, Caleb slid in beside me. The door slammed shut, and the car sped off. I scrambled up, dizzy and furious, and rounded on him. I demanded to know where he was taking me, yelling that I hadn't agreed to go anywhere with him. Caleb's anger matched my own. He grabbed my jaw, his voice a low growl as he snarled my full name. He accused me of growing bold, of daring to come to a place like this and let other men touch me. He asked what happened to the promises I had made him. I was about to retort that it was none of his business when he leaned in close, his nose brushing against my neck. A strange, tingling sensation spread across my skin, and I flinched away. I demanded to know if he was a dog. Shoving him back, my anger was mixed with a sudden, confusing flush of heat. Caleb's eyes burned with a dark fire. His voice was a venomous whisper as he declared that I reeked. Before I could process the insult, he reached into a compartment and pulled out a can of air freshener, spraying it directly at my face. The overpowering citrus scent filled my lungs, and I erupted into a fit of sneezes and curses. Caleb calmly lowered the window and instructed the driver to increase the airflow. The strong wind gradually cleared the cloying scent, but I was left a teary, sniffling mess. As I wiped my face, Caleb delivered his ultimatum. When we got home, I was to throw away all my clothes and scrub myself clean. If he ever caught the scent of another man on me again, he would skin me alive. I had never been so humiliated in my life. The audacity of it pushed my anger past its breaking point. I lunged, grabbing the front of his shirt. I demanded to know who gave him the right to speak to me that way, my voice trembling with rage. I expected fear or at least caution. Instead, Caleb's large hand gently covered my fist. His expression softened, a mix of exasperation and something that looked disturbingly like affection. He remarked that I had certainly succeeded in making him angry this time, but warned me there wouldn't be a next time. If I ever set foot in Vanguard again, he would... I didn't have the patience to hear the rest of his threat. I swung. My fist connected with his jaw with a satisfying crack. He reeled back, his head snapping to the side. He touched his cheek in disbelief, then slowly turned back to look at me. I unleashed a torrent of curses, telling him he had no right to control me. I yelled at the driver to stop the car. He didn't. I tried the door handle. It was locked. I screamed at Caleb again to stop the car. Caleb's face was a thundercloud, his eyes dark with an unreadable emotion. His response was to press a button, and a privacy divider smoothly rose, sealing us off from the driver. Before I could ask what he was doing, he lunged, pinning me against the seat. I swear, I used to be an unbeatable alpha. Fights, flirtations, I won them all. But now, I was being helplessly overpowered by another alpha, his mouth crashing down on mine in a brutal, possessive kiss. His tongue forced its way past my teeth, exploring, dominating. I tried to turn my head away, but he held the back of my neck in an iron grip. I felt the air being stolen from my lungs. To my horror, my body seemed to have a will of its own. My hands crept up to his shoulders, my legs parted to wrap around his waist. It was a terrifying, instinctual muscle memory. One moment I was punching him, the next I was melting under his touch. My dignity, my alpha pride, where had it gone? I cursed myself internally, trying to fight the response, but it was useless. I was forced to accept a horrifying truth. I was the one who was taken. My reputation was in ruins. This wasn't a canary I was keeping. It was a bird of prey. His lips moved to my ear, nibbling on the lobe, and a shiver racked my body. With the last shred of my self-control, I shoved him away. I meant to yell at him to get his hands off me, but the sound that came out was a hoarse, breathy whisper that sounded more like a plea than a command. Caleb licked his lips, his eyes flushed red, his breathing heavy. He told me that if it weren't for the scent of other men on me, he would take me right there in the car. The air was thick with the intermingling scents of fir and cypress, our pheromones. They should have clashed, repelling each other, but instead, they twisted together, creating something intoxicating. He had to have put a spell on me. There was no other explanation for my body's traitorous response to another alpha. I clung to my defiance, my voice brittle. I reminded him that we were through. From now on, we would go our separate ways. I didn't care how I had felt about him before. I was sane now, and I wasn't going back. He looked at me as if I were speaking another language. He asked if I was done with my tantrum. He claimed he was already trying to meet me halfway, guessing that I was angry because he had picked up Leo from the airport without telling me. He tried to explain that Leo was my cousin and his old classmate, that it was merely a gesture of politeness. Then he started to say something about me, but stopped himself abruptly. I almost choked. This was his idea of an apology? I told him I didn't remember our past, but I could tell him with absolute certainty that I was done playing this game. He could go to hell for all I cared. Caleb froze, his expression blank. He asked quietly if I truly remembered nothing. I shot back that it was obvious, asking if he was deaf. Just then, the car stopped and the doors unlocked. I didn't hesitate. I threw open the door and got out. Caleb followed. We were in the underground garage of my apartment building. I used my key card to enter, and he followed me step for step. I spun around, demanding to know why he was following me. He answered with one word, home. I told him this was my home and ordered him to leave. He ignored me, following me into the elevator. He then opened the door to my apartment with his own fingerprint, and I finally fell silent. It was hopeless. The entryway was filled with our shoes, his next to mine. The slippers were a matching set. In the living room, on a shelf by the water cooler, sat a pair of misshapen ceramic mugs. They were clearly a couple's set. I picked one up. On it was a crudely drawn rabbit, and on the other, a mouse. They were so ugly you could barely tell what they were. I muttered about how hideous they were, how they didn't match my decor at all. Caleb's voice came from behind me, coolly reminding me that I was the one who had insisted on making them at a pottery class, despite his S about our mutual lack of artistic talent. My silence was deafening. I was born in the year of the rat, so the rabbit was him. How could I have done something so sappy and childish? While I was reeling from this revelation, Caleb's phone rang. I glanced over and saw the caller ID, Leo. Caleb caught my look, then answered the call, pointedly putting it on speaker. Leo's voice, thick with manufactured distress, came through the phone. He whined that the power was out at his place and he didn't know what to do. The cloying nickname, Caleb, made my stomach turn. Caleb calmly suggested it was probably a tripped breaker. Leo played dumb, asking where the breaker box was and if Caleb could possibly come over. Caleb glanced at me again. I gave a cold, dismissive laugh and told him to go, not to keep the damsel in distress waiting. Hearing my voice, Leo quickly changed his tune, asking if Caleb was with me. He said Caleb shouldn't come, that he didn't want me to get the wrong idea, that he would be fine on his own. I had no patience for his theatrics and walked into the bedroom. Everywhere I looked, things came in pairs. Pillows, robes, towels, razors. Even on the nightstand, there was a framed photo of us. In it, Caleb held a birthday cake with a stoic expression while I leaned against him, flashing a V sign at the camera like an idiot. The sight of my own pathetic devotion made me want to scream. I had always believed in clean breaks, never keeping a partner for long. Yet here was proof that I had been playing house with an alpha 4 years my junior for half a decade. I must have been possessed. Furious, I grabbed a towel and went to take a shower. The hot water washed over me, and the tension in my shoulders began to ease. I thought about Caleb's claim that he and Leo were just classmates. Maybe I believed him, but it took two to tango. Leo wouldn't be so bold if Caleb hadn't given him some encouragement. As I tried to dismiss the thought, an image of Leo's contact photo on Caleb's phone flashed in my mind. It was the same photo from my own message history. I shut off the water, quickly dried myself, and ran back to the bedroom to grab my phone. Sure enough, in my recent contacts, there was Leo. My contact name for him was Leo the Leech. The bluntness of it made me laugh out loud. I opened the chat log and saw that I had a video call with him at 2 o'clock that afternoon, around the time I fell. Had I been on a call with him when it happened? I tried to remember what we talked about, but my mind was a blank. I sighed. It didn't matter. Let Leo and Caleb have each other. I didn't want him. After my shower, I was starving. I went out to the kitchen for a glass of water and stopped short. Caleb was there, wearing an apron over his suit. The sleeves of his shirt rolled up to his elbows, revealing strong forearms. He was just placing a steaming bowl of pasta on the dining table. It was a simple aglio e olio with grilled chicken and vegetables, topped with a perfect sunny side-up egg. It looked incredible. Caleb set down a fork and told me to eat it before my stomach started acting up. My chronic gastritis was a souvenir from my hard partying days. If I skipped a meal, it would flare up. I couldn't resist the food. I sat down and started eating. Caleb went back to the kitchen to wash the pot. As I ate, I remembered Leo and asked Caleb why he was still here. Caleb answered without turning around, saying he had sent his assistant over to Leo's place, figuring it wasn't a big deal. He hadn't fallen for Leo's act? I was surprised. Then why had he been in such a hurry to pick him up from the airport? Caleb finished in the kitchen and told me to just leave the bowl in the sink when I was done. This man was giving me whiplash. In the hospital, he was cruel and dismissive. Now he was acting like a gentle, caring domestic partner. He walked into the study, saying he had some work to do and that I should go to sleep when I was finished eating. I glanced at the clock. It was almost 11. Just hours ago in the car, he looked like he wanted to devour me. Now he was completely calm. I finished the pasta and leaned against the study doorway, watching him. He put on a pair of glasses and focused on his laptop. Without looking up, he asked what I wanted. I decided to test him. I asked if he wanted to sleep together. He glanced at me, his expression unreadable. He stated that since I had amnesia, he wouldn't touch me. He certainly had his principles. As I turned to leave, a memory hit me with the force of a physical blow. A scene played out in my mind. Caleb sitting at this very desk, working. Me, coming up behind him, my hands sliding under his shirt to caress his chest. His breath hitched and he told me to stop, that he had to work. I whispered in his ear, asking if work was more interesting than I was. He turned his head, a faint blush on his cheeks as he tried to avoid my gaze. I persisted, asking why he was working so hard when his family's company was already back on its feet. He mumbled that he had to pay me back. I had laughed, telling him the 10 million was nothing, that what was mine was his. But he had been stubborn, insisting he couldn't be indebted to me. So I had climbed into his lap, unbuttoning his shirt and letting my hands roam freely, teasingly asking if he was sure he wanted me to stop. A moment later, he had cursed under his breath, scooped me into his arms, and carried me to the bedroom. A violent shudder ran through me. Was that a real memory? I had been that shameless with another alpha? It was mortifying. I rubbed the goosebumps from my arms and fled. The next day, I was in a board meeting, barely able to keep my eyes open. My night had been filled with a chaotic series of dreams. In one, a teenage Caleb looked at me with wide, innocent eyes and called me Ethan. In another, a grown-up Caleb was at the gym, vowing to dominate me. In a third, I was trying to turn the tables on him, only to end up pinned to my own office desk. Why couldn't I just forget everything completely? During my lunch break, I was sprawled on the couch in my office, too drained to eat. I was aimlessly scrolling through my phone when a message popped up from a contact named Julian, event planner. He was asking if I had canceled our order because I was unhappy with the proposal. I had no idea what he was talking about. I checked our message history and saw records of several calls and dozens of images he had sent me. I opened one at random. It was a mock-up of an event space, lavishly decorated with flowers, balloons, and lights. The event planner messaged again, saying that if there was anything I disliked, they could change it, and that with a week left, there was still plenty of time. A week until what? Before I could reply, my office door opened and Caleb strode in. He pulled me up from the couch and told me it was time for lunch. I tried to resist, claiming I wasn't hungry, but he ignored me, pulling me into my private elevator and down to the garage. I was too tired to fight. I dozed off in the passenger seat and woke up when we arrived at a private restaurant. The hostess greeted us warmly and led us to a secluded booth with a view of a tranquil garden. The food arrived quickly, all of my favorite dishes. We had clearly been here many times before. Caleb ladled soup into my bowl, cautioning me to let it cool. I was once again struck by his dual nature. The man who had been so furious with me yesterday was now the picture of solicitous care. As I was about to take a sip of soup, a soft, melodic voice spoke from behind me. "Mr. Shaw? Is that you?" I turned. Standing there was a stunning Omega in his early 20s, with long hair, flawless skin, and perfectly matched jewelry. He was exactly my type. I was completely captivated. The Omega smiled at me, then gave a polite nod to Caleb. He made small talk, asking if I was here for lunch with a friend. I managed to grin and confirmed that I was. He explained that he was here to see the owner, who was a friend of his. Then he added that his design studio had moved, and he would send me the new address later, in case I or my friends ever needed his services again. After a final, charming smile, he excused himself. I watched him go, a lovesick expression on my face, until Caleb's voice, sharp as a shard of ice, cut through my reverie. He asked if I had seen enough. His expression was darker than a storm cloud. I snapped back to reality, asking him what the problem was. Was it a crime to look? He gave a humorless laugh and asked if I was sure it was just looking. He accused me of thinking he was an idiot. His volatile side was surfacing again, and I tensed. But then, just as quickly, he fell silent, turning his head away in a sulk. I didn't have the energy to coddle him. Just then, my phone buzzed with a new location pin from the beautiful Omega. His name was Julian, but my contact note for him read Julian Ring Design. Ring Design. I opened our chat and saw dozens of designs for matching wedding bands. There were even notes about inscriptions. As I was trying to make sense of it, Caleb's hand slammed down on my phone screen. I looked up, ready to yell, but the fury on his face was greater than mine. He demanded to know if I thought he was blind, accusing me of flirting with another man right in front of him while I had the nerve to question his relationship with Leo. I argued that I had barely said 2 words to the guy. He shot back that I was playing dumb, that he had seen us 2 days ago. Seen what? Caleb's voice was tight with anger as he showed me his phone. On the screen was a series of photos of me and Julian, sitting together in the coffee shop downstairs from my office, laughing and talking intimately. Caleb's voice was a low growl of accusation. He explained that he had come to my office to bring me soup he had made, only to walk in on our private meeting. He accused me of being the unfaithful one and then having the audacity to point fingers at him. I held up a hand, telling him to wait, that I needed to process this. But he was relentless, asking if my plan was to have the best of both worlds. He snarled that it would never happen. His shouting was giving me a headache. I told him if he was so unhappy we should just break up, that we had already agreed to end the contract. Then no one would have to answer to anyone. Caleb fell silent. I was starving, so I picked up my utensils and started eating, lecturing him between bites. I told him I'd never met someone so melodramatic. 1 minute wanting to end things, the next clinging to me. I asked why he couldn't just be decisive. We were adults. I had forgotten him, he was annoyed with me. The logical conclusion was to part ways. Why make things so complicated? Caleb muttered something under his breath. I asked him to repeat it, but he just clenched his fists and said nothing. I shrugged and told him I'd be happy to eat his share. He glared at me as I ate, but I ignored him. I was halfway through my meal when I heard footsteps approaching. Caleb immediately went on alert, his eyes fixed on the person coming toward us. It was Julian. He started to say something about the message he'd just sent me. Before I could turn around, Caleb shot to his feet, pulling me up with him by the front of my shirt. The world went dark for a second as his mouth crashed down on mine in a fierce, desperate kiss. He held my face, his eyes open and locked on Julian, kissing me with a raw, possessive force that was meant to be a performance. When he finally pulled away, I was breathless. I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, my gaze inadvertently meeting Julian's. His initial shock had melted into an expression of amused understanding. He covered his mouth to hide a smile, then offered a quick apology for interrupting, telling us to continue. As he hurried away, I heard him whisper excitedly, "Wow, a double alpha pairing. I got it." Caleb and I stared at each other. He broke the silence with a malicious smirk. "Now everyone knows you're the one who gets taken." I gritted my teeth, hissing his name, asking if he had lost his mind. His anger had vanished, replaced by a smug satisfaction. He sat back down and nonchalantly started eating the food from my plate. What happened to me being the one pursuing him? The power dynamic seemed to have completely flipped. I had no idea what to make of our relationship anymore. And in the chaos, I completely forgot to ask about the event planner and the ring designer. 2 days later, Caleb and I were in tuxedos, attending a party at one of my hotels. It was a 100-day celebration for the newborn son of 2 prominent families. The father was an alpha and the other father a beta. It wasn't an uncommon pairing, but an AA couple like us was practically unheard of. After giving the family a generous gift, we took our seats. A few minutes later, Caleb stepped out to take a call. He was gone for over 10 minutes. When he returned, he was acting strangely, trying to suppress a giddy smile and stealing secretive glances at me. It was starting to unnerve me. I finally snapped, asking him what his problem was. He quickly wiped the smile from his face and adopted an air of mystery, telling me not to worry about it. I retorted that I had no intention of worrying about him, but that he should stop staring. The sound of a piano drifted from the stage. I glanced over and froze. Seated at the grand piano, dressed in a white three-piece tuxedo, was Leo Sterling, his fingers flying across the keys. The hosts must have hired him. He was a moderately well-known pianist. A bitter thought crossed my mind. If I had known he was coming, I wouldn't have come. I automatically looked at Caleb. He was engrossed in his phone, the smile back on his face. A cold realization dawned on me. He knew Leo would be here. That's why he was so happy. After a few songs, Leo left the stage. I had eaten enough and was ready to leave. I stood up, but Caleb grabbed my arm, asking where I was going. I told him I was going to the restroom. He let go. I left the ballroom and headed straight for the parking garage. As I passed through the lobby, my eyes were drawn to the large, Y-shaped staircase. This was where I had fallen. Fragments of memory surfaced. I was walking down the stairs, looking at my phone. It was a video call from Leo. On the screen was Caleb driving. They had said something. After I heard it, I felt my heart shatter. I instinctively recoiled from the memory. As I stood there, staring at the stairs, a uniformed employee approached me. He said the hotel manager needed to speak with me and asked me to come to the lounge. I didn't suspect a thing and went by myself. When I entered the lounge, it was empty. I called out the manager's name and pulled out my phone to call him. At that exact moment, I felt a cold draft behind me, followed by a sharp sting in my neck. Startled, I spun around, swinging my fist on instinct. I hit someone, and my phone clattered to the floor. The person I hit stumbled back, holding their face. It was Leo. A syringe lay on the floor near his feet. That's what he had stuck me with. I stared at him in disbelief, my hand on my neck. I yelled his name, demanding to know what he was doing. A low, sinister laugh escaped his throat. He said I was so easy to fool. It was a trap. I told him he was insane and turned to leave, but a wave of dizziness washed over me. My limbs felt heavy, and I swayed on my feet. Leo rushed forward to steady me, his voice cloyingly sweet as he asked if I was feeling unwell. I knew my symptoms were from the injection. I pushed him away weakly, asking what he had done to me. He clung to me, guiding me to a sofa and locking the door. My chest felt tight, and it was hard to breathe. I had no strength. Leo climbed on top of me, cupping my face in his hands. His dark eyes reflected my own pale, shocked face. He whispered that he was sorry, that he didn't want to do this, but I never looked at him. His expression was a disturbing mix of adoration and obsession. I tried to speak his name, but he silenced me with a kiss. A wave of nausea rolled through me. I clenched my jaw, refusing to let him in. He finally pulled back, his voice a petulant whine. "Why don't you love me, Ethan? You used to call me your darling Leo. What's so great about Caleb Vance? How is he better than me?" Leo was interested in me, not Caleb? My brain felt like it was short-circuiting. He continued his rambling monologue, saying he never should have invited Caleb to his 17th birthday party, because that's when I met him. He raged, asking why I was still obsessed with Caleb even after he presented as an alpha. "Can he give you children? Can he satisfy you? I can give you all of that." This was some next-level delusion. I tried to reason with him, reminding him that we were cousins. He shouted back that cousins could get married. I told him bluntly that I had never been interested in him, that this was all pointless. "No," he screamed, his eyes wild. "If I can't have you, no one can. I won't lose you to Caleb Vance. I will tear you two apart." Suddenly, there was a violent pounding at the door. We both jumped. With two powerful kicks, The door splintered and flew open. "Ethan!" Caleb stormed in. Before Leo could react, Caleb grabbed him and threw him against the wall, where he crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Caleb rushed to my side, helping me sit up. I was dizzy and breathless. I managed to tell him that Leo had injected me with something. "I'm taking you to the hospital," he said, lifting me onto his back. He was so quick to arrive. I asked him how he knew I was here. Caleb picked up my phone from the floor. The screen was still lit up, showing an active call with him. I must have accidentally dialed him when I dropped it. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed I'd been injected with a powerful sedative. Caleb was furious, vowing to make Leo pay. I told him to let it go. Leo had grown up without a father and was a bit unstable. I would talk to his mother and have him sent far away. As I lay in the hospital bed with an 4 drip, Caleb sat beside me, holding my hand, his face etched with worry. When I felt a little better, I teased him, asking why he wasn't this concerned when I fell down the stairs. A look of guilt crossed his face. He admitted that he thought I was faking it then. And at the time, he thought I was cheating on him. Cheating? The fight at the restaurant came rushing back. I asked if he meant with Julian. He nodded, quickly adding that he had looked into it and knew Julian was just a jewelry designer. He admitted he had misunderstood. So that's what his secret of smiling was about. I snorted, deciding to provoke him. I said that maybe he hadn't misunderstood, that I was, in fact, quite interested in Julian. Caleb's face fell. He begged me not to toy with him. I let it go, staring at the ceiling and musing aloud about how I never would have guessed that Leo was in love with me. Caleb agreed, saying Leo was a very convincing actor. I preened, joking that it was my irresistible charm. No Omega who met me could resist. Suddenly, Caleb grabbed my chin, turning my face to his. His voice was a low growl. "No more playing the field. You have me now." I started to retort that he was just my kept man, but he cut me off with another deep, possessive kiss. 3 days later, as I was leaving my office, Caleb ambushed me, dragging me away. He refused to tell me where we were going, only that I would find out when we got there. The destination was my own hotel. Before I could even take 2 steps out of the car, he produced a blindfold and covered my eyes. I tried to pull it off, but he stopped me, threatening to have his way with me right there in the parking garage if I didn't comply. Defeated, I let him lead me into the elevator and down a hall into a room. The air was warm and filled with the scent of thousands of flowers. "Okay, we're here." He removed the blindfold. I blinked, my eyes adjusting to the light. I was in one of the smaller ballrooms. The room was a fairy tale scene of twinkling lights and floral arrangements. Projected onto one wall was a giant heart. Inside the heart were 2 cartoon figures, one with rabbit ears, one with mouse ears. Above them were the words, "Marry me. Proposal." A hot blush crept up my neck, and I stood frozen, completely flustered. Caleb pulled a small, dark blue velvet box from his pocket and knelt on one knee before me. He opened it, his voice steady. "Ethan, I turned 23 today. I'm legally old enough to get married. Will you marry me? Or I'll marry you, either way is fine." Inside the box were 2 platinum rings. And then, everything came back. The rings, I had commissioned them from Julian. The ballroom, I had hired the event planner to decorate it. Today was Caleb's 23rd birthday. I had planned this for over a month. It was supposed to be a surprise party where I would propose to him. I remembered that day on the stairs. I remembered the video call with Leo. Caleb in the car, unaware that I was on the other end of the line. Leo's manipulative questions. "Are you still with my cousin? You know he's a famous player." Caleb's noncommittal reply that it was his private business. Leo's poisonous words. Caleb that I would tire of him once I had conquered him. And Caleb, thinking I was cheating on him with Julian, had his deepest insecurities poked. He had snapped back. How could I ever fall for him? I was forced into that contract. The day my company is stable, I won't wait for him to dump me. I'll dump him first. Hearing those words had felt like a bucket of ice water being thrown over me. My 5 years of genuine affection, my willingness to change my entire lifestyle for him, it was all just a game to him. My heart had shattered. Lost in my devastation, I had missed a step and tumbled down the stairs. The shock was so great that when I woke up, I had erased him from my memory. I stood there, lost in thought, for so long that Caleb prompted me, gently shaking my hand. Ethan, marry me? I snapped back to the present. Even though I knew now that he had spoken out of anger and misunderstanding, the words still stung. I scoffed. I pointed out that I had designed the room and custom-ordered the rings. All he was doing was showing up and asking the question. I told him I wasn't that easy. Caleb's composure crumbled. He explained, words tumbling out in a rush, that he had been afraid to show me how much he cared. He thought if he was too eager, I would get bored and leave him. He wasn't sure if my feelings were real or just a passing fancy, so he played hard to get. But now he knew. He knew I wanted a real life with him. He swore that from now on, no matter how I treated him, he was mine for life, and he would never let anyone take me from him. I remained unmoved. I asked him if he thought I was some cheap thing he could summon and dismiss at will. I told him I was done playing. I turned to leave, but he scrambled up and wrapped his arms around me from behind, holding me tight. Don't go, he pleaded, his voice thick with emotion. Ethan, I was wrong. Please give me a chance. The proposal was your plan, so let me plan the wedding. Whatever you want, I'll make it happen. My shares in the company, they're yours. My salary, all of it. I'll do anything you say. Just please, say yes. He sounded like he was about to cry, and I had to fight to keep from smiling. So he knew how to play hard to get? Well, so did I. I kept my back to him, afraid my expression would give me away. I adopted a wounded tone. I threw myself at you for 5 years, Ethan. You think a few nice words will make me forget that? He swore he remembered every good thing I had ever done for him and promised to repay it 100 times over. He begged for a chance to prove it. I slowly turned to face him. His eyes were shining with unshed tears, looking so much like the vulnerable bunny I had first fallen for. I was completely wrapped around his little finger. I kept my face a stern mask and asked, "You said you'd do anything I say?" He nodded eagerly. I pressed my advantage. So if I want to smoke, I can smoke? If I want to drink, I can drink? He hesitated, his expression pained. But you have a lung condition and drinking hurts your stomach. I only stop you because I want to grow old with you. I want to live to be 100 with you. So all of it really was for my own good. He quickly added that as long as it wasn't harmful to my health, anything else was on the table. I let out a long, dramatic sigh. Fine. Since you're being so sincere, I'll give you one more chance. His face lit up with pure joy. Fearing I would change my mind, he quickly slid the engagement ring onto my left hand, then put the matching one on his own. I looked down at the ring on my finger. I never thought I'd be married so young. But then again, Caleb was 4 years younger than me. In the end, I was the one who got the better deal. He pulled me into a passionate kiss. It had been days, and I was quickly aroused, my arms wrapping around his neck as I kissed him back. We were lost in the moment when a timid voice interrupted us. "Mister, Vance, should we come out now? We broke apart and saw Ryan peeking out from behind a curtain, holding a small video camera. One by one, our friends emerged from their hiding places, holding confetti poppers and phones, all of them grinning like idiots. They had witnessed the entire embarrassing proposal. But then I thought it was Caleb who had done the groveling, not me. My proud reputation remained intact. Caleb cleared his throat awkwardly and told everyone to come out and do what they were supposed to do. A moment later, confetti rained down on us as our friends cheered and applauded. And amidst the celebration, urged on by our friends, Caleb, Vance, and I kissed again.